Humility is probably one of the best qualities any of us can have.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
really is.
Yeah.
I so admire people who I feel like, man, that person really does seem on the surface to have it all figured out, but like a Tony Dungy type, they don't, the air about them is still so much humility, or like a Tim Tebow, it's
Yeah.
just, that guy'd sit down next to you, put his arm around you and cry with you just like anybody else, because it's just his part.
Yeah.
And he doesn't portray somebody that has it all figured out.
Strong Dads wants to thank 4Speed on 50 for sponsoring today's show. If you like classic cars, great food, and a taste of Americana, you have to visit 4Speed on 50's Diner, located on Route 50 in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Stop in today for a meal and an experience you won't soon forget at 4Speed on 50's Diner. Welcome to Strong Dads. This is Merle Hutchinson bringing you another great show. Man, I'm so excited today to get into our show and to visit and talk a little bit with our guest. Today we have a guest on the show. His name is Chris Wilson. Chris is a lifelong fitness and health advocate with about 25 years in the fitness industry. He has worked alongside and learned from leaders in industries such as Charles Poliquin, his mentor and friend, Ben Pentris, a three-time champion powerlifter, Lloyd Weinstein, four-time Mr. Olympia, Jay Cutler, which, by the way, I got to see Jay Cutler at the last Arnold. He was given the Lifetime Achievement Award, I think it was, by Arnold. So that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
And owner of Critical Bench, or his friend, and I think part owner of the business with you, Mike Westerl, right? Am I saying
Mike Westerdahl is the owner of Critical Bench. Yeah,
he
we're
is
we're
the owner?
lifelong friends.
Gotcha. Okay. You also have a show, Strong by Design, with, gosh, over 1 million subscribers. You've done over 5,000 videos. I mean, I do a video a week. I don't even imagine 5,000. All right. Um, Live in Clearwater, Florida. You have a wife of 18 years, Samantha. Your children, Kellen and Cameron. You love football, coaching youth baseball, dogs, cats, traveling with his family game night, movie night, as well as listening to podcasts. You love audiobooks and loud music. Chris, welcome to the Strong Dads podcast. Thank you much for joining us.
Great to be here. Absolute pleasure. And obviously, with the title, the word "strong" in the title for both our podcasts, it's very, very fitting.
Yeah. So you're in Florida right now. I'm in Indiana. So you see me, I'm recording outside right now because
Yeah.
we don't get nearly as many opportunities to do nice weather recording. And we have a nice day today. How's it in Florida? You guys have been saturated in the last few days with some rain, haven't you?
Well, yeah. Finally, it's been a
Yeah.
super dry, late spring here. But then the humidity is, just what you can imagine, about 100%.
Yeah.
And we're just getting over an air conditioner not working properly in our office, but looks like it was resolved today, which is great. But I have a fan off to my side here blowing some air on me just so I don't melt.
Yeah.
But we're
Yeah.
we're getting through. Air conditioning in Florida comes at a premium from May through October.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got a really good 9 months a year there where you just you can laugh at the rest of us up in the north, but you got 3 or so months a year. Yeah, you can have it, right?
Yeah, June through August are
Yeah,
pretty tough.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
tough. Pretty tough.
Okay.
But we make the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, again, I want to thank you for joining us. I kind of went through and gave a little bit of your bio, but maybe more in your words. Tell us a little bit about what this your your Strength by Design podcast, your work at Critical Bench, like these are big things that you spend time on. Tell us a little bit about them.
Sure. Yeah, it's confusing for people who know me well, even. They say, "What do you do?"
Yeah.
I say, "All right, well, picture this. We're an online, fully online fitness and health publishing company. So we
Okay.
create fitness and health products and programming, physical and digital items, and sell them through a very large email list or newsletter uh, that we have access to a lot of people that have been that we've been accumulating for 25 years since we've been in business since 1999 and have a pretty large following on lots of platforms. But really, our bread and butter is showing up in people's inbox with really great resources, lots of free content, and then paid for programming that people can easily implement into their lives. Very much beginner level stuff. Get out of pain products, body part specific things, things for men, things for women, things for both. We're everywhere, and it's been just a true joy to do something in the online space that I was doing in person for many years, from 1999 till about 2013. I was in fitness at the ground level, working with people face to face, training, managing others, running a fitness center, overseeing personal training at facilities, and really enjoyed that. Loved the connection with people,
Yeah.
and had an opportunity to work for one of my very best friends that I grew up playing high school football with, and he started this bench press program online back in 1999, Critical Bench. It was all about
Okay.
bench press back then,
Yeah.
very specific. And we've just evolved into a more general fitness and health company presence.
Gotcha.
So we
Yeah.
create a lot of our own stuff, but we also, we have partnered in the past with people. We can promote other products and programming that fall in line with the things that we create, and push those things out to our newsletter. But the Strong by Design podcast um, came about six. We're in our seventh season of the show. So in May of 2018, the show started as just another extension of the business where we could talk about things other than just fitness and health, and really dive into faith and family and leadership and mentorship and all these other categories that were, you could feel them, you could see them if you looked hard enough in our fitness and health content. But it was a really nice opportunity to have a voice, and talk about things that we cared about, other than just benching and squatting and
Right.
having six pack abs.
Right.
And I've had the luxury and the privilege of managing the podcast since day one, and really getting it off the ground. And um, we take turns hosting. We have four different hosts of the show. Sometimes we host together, separately. Sometimes we don't have guests and we just interview each other. And so we it's just been a real joy, and just an honor to have meaningful conversations with people that I wouldn't maybe have the opportunity to talk with unless the podcast existed. And what a great thing to have all these evergreen conversations that people can go back and listen to. And
Yeah.
and if it can help just one person, it's been worth it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at right now. And so I'm the VP of content for the company. So I kind of oversee everything from start to finish in some regards, whether it's free content on YouTube or the podcast or paid for programming.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I see like I said, my passion is a lot of the fitness stuff, but and being a trainer, I used to work with a lot of guys. We'd work on the strength gaining, but they'd spend a lot of time looking in the mirror and checking out the bulging muscle. But then the more you talk with them, you find out that their family life is miserable, or their their marriage is miserable. And I'm like, how about a little less time in the gym and a little bit more time on trying to figure out how to work on that family? And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so yeah, I actually, in our Strong Dads podcast, we talk faith, family, fitness, all things dad. And but we probably do the least amount of fitness stuff. because everybody seems to do that stuff, like there's a lot of fitness stuff out there. And I spend the majority of my hours sitting in counseling sessions with marriages and men. So anyway, but very similar to what you're talking about there. I'm sure we see a lot of the same things.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
no doubt. No
Yeah.
doubt.
Well,
Yeah, well, it's important for men to certainly take care of themselves and have an interest in their own health and fitness
yeah.
level so
Yeah.
that they're better for everybody else. But it can be a self-absorbing type of environment
Absolutely.
too. So it's a balance.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I need to ask you the question, like, well, what's your why? You spend all this time in the fitness videos and doing these things, but what really, why do you do this stuff?
Mm,
Why did you gravitate towards this particular path in life versus building homes or whatever? What's your why?
right, right. Yeah, it's a good question. Um, I grew up in the 80s, which is, kind of a cool time period back when innocence was still at a premium. And I had two big brothers who I really looked up to. They were 5 years older than me, identical twins. And I always wanted to be big and strong like my big brothers. And I also felt kind of this underlying pressure from my father, who was very much a disciplinarian, kind of a hardcore former Marine, who was also an alcoholic and a little bit abusive too, but that's another conversation. But I always felt like I was trying to win him over while at the same time trying to be more like my brothers, 5 years older than me. And I just, like tough, being a man, being tough, being strong, having muscles was certainly part
Hmm.
of that. And so I just had this fondness for weight training and being kind of tough and playing sports, playing all this. I was a baseball, football kid my whole childhood, and then stuck more to football as I got into high school. But um, just wanted to be at the top of my game,
Yeah.
and be considered formidable by other people, I guess you could say. And I think the other thing is also I've always been a people person, very much into connecting with others and being not necessarily center of attention, but very much an extrovert, and I love socializing, connecting, talking, laughing with others, and so being able to blend my interest in relationships along with the fitness seeking and the muscles and the strength and all that is a perfect world for me to land in personal training and coaching with other people. And I uh, I really started right out of college working with pretty affluent people who had the means, the money to afford to work with a trainer. And I just found, wow, so cool to learn from all these great men and women who
Hmm.
are super successful, their own businesses and beautiful homes, nice cars, all this great success. And here I am, it's like some 22-year-old kid who just has this passion for fitness and is pretty fit and got the muscles and got the look and all that stuff. But here they are coming to me for advice
Hmm.
and accountability, and kind of a neat thing. And I just rode that wave for quite a while, and now I'm just doing it in other ways now as a almost
Yeah.
50-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, and it's when you're 18 years old and you're graduating high school and you say, "Where am I going to be 20 years from now?" You're like, "Well, you kind of throw a dart at the board and
Yeah,
but you never know really the path that you
that's
find
right.
yourself on."
Oh, my path has been very bizarre.
Yeah.
If those two words can go together, I think if it's bizarre, it's that's enough. It doesn't need very.
Very.
Um, it's yeah. I was in the furniture business for many years
Oh
as a
wow.
full-time job, while I still did fitness part-time. Just kind of a weird thing. You meet the
Yeah.
right person at the right time,
Right.
and you jump into something that was exciting, And down here in Florida in the early 2000s, people were spending a lot of money in the Fort Lauderdale area. So the
Mm.
furniture business was actually a very lucrative, promising business to be in.
Huh.
And so
Yeah.
I relegated fitness to my back, more of a hobby where I could still earn some money doing it for.
Yeah. And
But
still spark your interest.
oh, for
Working.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's there. I used to have fun teaching people, sales associates and management and stuff I worked with in the furniture store how to exercise
Right.
when
Right.
when things were slow, you know.
Yeah.
So it never escaped me.
Guys, let's see if you can do a plank. Yeah.
It's no doubt, no doubt. There's pictures of me somewhere in black slacks with a white dress shirt and a tie, holding planks and doing push-ups. I know it.
That's great. Good stuff. Yeah. It's just kind of in your DNA, right? That's what
Yeah.
my family just laughs at me because like if 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 I got nothing else to do, I'm going to be working out. And they're like, "What is wrong with you?" Like you, and I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I can't act like I get up every day and go, I have to work out. It's
Yeah.
just, it's what I gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And if not, I'm with a sketch pad designing the next piece of fitness equipment. Like that's just how I'm rolling. So
Sorry. No, one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, sorry, you're podcasting."
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
"Yeah, I'm
You're good.
podcasting."
You're good. Yeah.
But yeah, it's something else. You triggered me when you were saying that because I think back to, guys like us, the way we're programmed, where we have this, desire to not stop moving, really. In a
Right.
lot of
Right.
ways, it's
Yeah.
just this desire to be active. It's not like I'm trying to achieve a six-pack abs or something. I just
Right.
have this yearning to move,
Yeah.
and knowing that it has such a great impact up here. And I think that's just in the DNA. That's
Yeah.
ancestral stuff. I feel
Yeah.
like, I'd have been doing the same thing 300-400 years ago, but it would have been me going out looking for a deer to kill
Yeah,
for food,
splitting wood or yeah, hunting the deer.
building
Yeah,
shelters,
absolutely.
making fires, doing
Yep.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That,
Yeah.
that's just how I'm designed.
Well, with all the different hats and different things that you wear, I know like in our work, there are parts of our ministry at Rock Solid Families that I absolutely love. And there's parts that I just have to do. All right. So in all the different hats and different things you do, what's your favorite thing to do
Mm.
in the work you do? Or maybe even outside of the work, what's your favorite thing to do?
Well, I would say the favorite thing to do in the work here is we are content rich. I mean, we're always making stuff
Yeah.
to sell or just to be up on the podcast or YouTube. I love just being in the moment with my people, with my team, making stuff. Just yesterday, for example, we were actually off site at a studio with one of our videographers, and talent, one of our coaches, just creating content, filming, for marketing material, actually to sell, to promote things that have been made. And we just enjoy being with each other. We
Yeah.
enjoy making something that looks good, that sounds good, and that ultimately is going to serve people in a way that's beneficial. I mean, we don't make it might sound artificial, but it, or cliche. We don't make stuff just to sell it and be profitable. We make stuff that we truly feel has value and will actually really help people
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
who do the work,
Yeah.
who do the program that we've created, whether it's, usually everything that we make is some kind of movement-based programming, that might have some nutrition attached to it, and so everything has some type of betterment quality, like longevity, overall health. Nothing is super aggressive. Again, it's all very much hand holding, beginner level, kind of
Mm.
easy to implement stuff, plug and play. And it feels good to be able to do that, just as it did when I was younger, working with people in a health and fitness center.
Yeah.
And I would work with a president of a company or a stay-at-home mom or somebody who I knew that session, they looked forward to that session. They knew they were going to have a good time, that it was going to help them, it was going to make them stronger, and they were going to leave better than they came in. and they would show up the next time or the next week, and I'd have people for years that I worked with. That's really empowering
Yeah.
to to know you can have that ripple effect in the world,
Yeah.
for other people.
What keeps you, um, you've said this a couple times, so I'm just teeing up on it. What keeps you moving more towards the beginner aspects of
Mm,
your programming versus going a little deeper into the weeds of detail to, hey, this is step two or this is the advanced
yeah,
level? What keeps you more at the
yeah.
beginner?
Well, we actually do have those types of things built out as well in our funnels. So
Okay.
but our entry level, like what we call our flagship or our front end offers, anything
Okay.
that's like really heavily promoted, we usually going to capture more people who are seeking. And
Okay.
advanced people, expert level people, they're not seeking a lot.
Gotcha.
They kind
Yeah.
of think they have it all figured out, even though I actually don't, or they might in one area of their life,
Yeah. Yeah.
as we were alluding to earlier. They have it all figured out for one thing, but they're probably coming up short in some other areas because it's really hard to get 100% in every category of your life.
Yeah.
And frankly, you know, I'm not, that's not what I'm after. I'm trying to do it all, and I'm trying to not I'm trying not to drop anything um along the way. I'm trying to juggle without dropping,
Yeah.
and just getting more efficient at my juggling. And because there is so much going on in our world. You had said earlier, like, what's the one thing that you really enjoy? And I answered it professionally, but then I think you had said maybe even like personally outside of work, what's that one thing that
Yeah.
you really love? And I mean, I am, I, I, I love just being surrounded by my two kids, my wife, our two dogs and two cats. If we're all lumped together on the sofa, whether we're playing board games or watching a movie or just, you know, fooling around being silly.
Yeah.
That makes me feel really good. Because ultimately, why else am I here?
Yeah.
If I can't really just soak those moments up, which, in a matter of years, those moments are going to be gone
Yeah.
as my kids grow up. So I'm just that's where I'm at there. Kind of doing anything easy, simple, going for a hike with my family on a vacation. I love it.
Yeah.
That's being outside in nature with my family and my dogs and stuff, and just enjoying God's creation. That's pretty magical.
Yeah. You say that and it makes me think. I remember, so I used to run with my brother-in-law. We would train for some marathons and stuff like that. And we would go out running, and he's a few years younger than me. But I remember we were in our late 20s, early 30s. And I remember us sort of bashing the guys at work that would be, I'll just call them for the sake of the discussion, the 9 to 5ers, you
Mm,
know, like, oh man, they're just not dedicated. They're just not dedicated. And I've really jumped off that bandwagon because now again, if they're a 9 to 5er and they're going and hanging out in the bar all night, then yeah, I don't have a lot of value to that. But I found so many guys were drowning themselves in their work at the
mhm.
expense of their family.
Correct.
And I was like, now when I leave work, I'm leaving work and I'm going to go home and we're going to hang out at home. And even if it's just hanging out at home, like, what'd you do? I don't know. I hung out, watched a movie at home with the kids, like there is so much long lasting value in that I think way too much of the man programming out there today is all about be your best in your career, dominate, win at the workplace, all this stuff. And everything comes at an expense. There's only so much energy in the world, right? And so everything comes from something else.
Yeah.
And I just think now my thought process has gone to, the last thing I'm going to steal energy from is the family now. Whereas it used to be one of the things that would quickly get put on the chopping block.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm in perfect alignment with you in that. I don't give myself an A plus, certainly, because I do find myself and my wife will let me know if I'm doing a lousy job of unplugging when I get home
Yeah.
from maybe something that wasn't quite wrapped up at the office, or a
Yeah.
lingering thing, or whatever it is that she wants. When I'm home, hey, it's family time now,
Yeah.
like put the phone away, close the laptop, all that stuff. And I agree with her. I don't ever argue it.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that I'm like, I'm just trying to get this done. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think dads just need to be there, man. More just be around your children. I want my kid, if you interviewed my son and my daughter, say 10 years from now when they're out of the house, and you said, was your dad around, a lot? Was he, part of your day and beginning or the end of the day or on the weekends? And you guys used to do, and I would want their answers to be, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
my dad was around so much. He was almost, I was a little bit sick and
Yeah.
tired of him being
Right.
around so
Right.
much. I want those kinds of responses. I don't want my kids ever to feel like they were neglected or not prioritized. And you gotta, as a dad, you have to be at the practices
Yep.
and the games too. Not everyone. They
Right.
get it.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss stuff sometimes. I just missed my daughter's dance recital for the first time. The first dance recital because I had a work trip, but she knew, and I was at a few practices leading up to it, so I could see at least what the dance was gonna look like right
Yeah.
before. And she was sad that I was going to miss it, but I think she understood. She knows I've been at everything else. I'll go to all her baseball games. I coach my son in baseball, so I'm at every one of his games and practices. And so, I mean, the more involved we can be as fathers, the less time our kids have wondering what they're doing wrong, or how they're underachieving, or not. What do they need to do more of to get our attention?
Yeah.
Dude, my kids don't need to do anything more. They have my full attention all the time. Too much, actually,
Yeah.
probably.
Well, one of the great lies that has been sold by the commercial career world is, hey, it's not about the quality or quantity; it's about the quality. So, only if you're there 1 hour a week, just make it great. And I will tell you, like from the work that I do and from the kids I work with, and no, that's absolutely garbage, especially with the dad. There is quantity is extremely important because, and I'll see this with security in the home.
Mm,
The presence, the masculine presence in the home creates a security. And when you create security in a kid, like, well, I don't know, like everybody's at home and home's okay, right? Home's safe. Versus, well, I guess I'm home by myself, so I guess I'll figure it out by myself. Just that little bit of insecurity creates a bit of a hardness in kids, which starts to ratchet up the anxiety in their life.
mm.
And so really that's the one, another one of those great lies. Don't, hey, yeah, I know you're working 6 hours a week, but when you're with your kids, make it count. Well, yeah, definitely make that count, but that is a lie. It is quantity is equally important. And I think a lot of this old psychology is bearing really bad fruit now that we've been in it for 20 years and we're seeing,
Mhm.
oh, well, this is the outcome. See how that's working.
Yeah, it's funny because as a dad, as a husband, as a man and a friend, being really good friends with the owner of the company, and we have these kinds of conversations all the time about how to be a better dad, how to be a better husband, just naturally. It's just like locker room talk here.
Yeah.
Is like we're always talking about our failings, or where we're underachieving, or a great moment, and those types of things. And you know, I kind of lost my train of thought where I was going with that, but ultimately, this is where I was going, is that simple oftentimes is best. And we try to reinvent and complicate things. The more the time goes on, right? It's like, oh, try this new method, or
Right.
oh, this really works great. And it's like, I don't know. I honestly think that a lot of things were already figured out for us,
Yep.
long decades and
Yep.
centuries ago about how to
Mhm.
do it right. and we just need to keep following through on those things, and not, and then just find ways in this technological advanced world that we live in, how to simplify things and how to get back to what we know works,
Yeah.
like spending those simple moments just sitting with your spouse outside in the sun, or
Yeah.
going for a walk, or playing in the grass with your kid on the front yard or something. Like, that stuff will never stop working.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Those are the moments.
Yep.
Those are the simple quantity moments like that I'll take over the,
Yeah.
quality, the 1 hour quality thing. No, I'd rather have more of the other moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and yeah, it just hopefully, well, and I do see the pendulum swinging a little bit back the other way, with that, with some of my younger guys that I work with. Like, hey, they're starting to see that, and kind of leads me to my next question for you. And I'll let you take this at whatever you want, because you actually referenced it a little bit just a little bit ago. But I ask every man I work with right off the get go. In fact, the session I just came from, I asked this guy, and the scary thing is, pretty accurately, I can often predict their story. Okay. But I'm going to ask you this question. You take it where you want to take it. Tell me your dad's story, what
Mm,
your dad was to you, and how that has impacted your life. You take it at whatever depth or level you
yeah,
want. You already mentioned he was a disciplinarian and struggled with some alcohol, but tell me what that did with you
yeah,
and who he was in your life.
yeah. Well, my dad, men can be complicated, and they can they can appear to be different people to, or different to various people. That certain people that knew my dad at church say thought my dad was just great, kind, outgoing guy, because he had that quality when he was
Yeah.
sober.
Yeah.
um my dad was a hard worker. um he was the oldest of four boys. He was born in the early 40s, and he grew up, he was in the Marines in the 60s, not in Vietnam, but his brother was. And, I think he had, for the most part, a kind of a pretty normal childhood, other than maybe the pressures of being the oldest of four boys. And he, as I said, he was a very disciplined worker, very hard worker. My dad owned his own business. He was actually a hearing aid specialist. So he was an audiologist.
Hmm.
I've probably never heard that spoken on your show before, an
No, I haven't.
audiologist. But that's what a hearing aid specialist is. Like, not an ear doctor, like not an ENT, a guy that would fit you with hearing aids, would check your hearing. So like going to your eye doctor.
Right.
But and so I knew a lot about the ear. I was always intrigued by the ear, growing up and stuff. But he owned his own business there. We lived in the Northeast in New England. My dad we had multiple trucks and snow plows. He loved doing side work, plowing snow and making more money there. We would do some landscaping for neighbors and stuff like that. Because he had three boys, three sons, so there's a work opportunity
Built-in
there.
crew. Yeah.
Built-in crew, right?
Yeah.
And he did a lot of tree removal, which was interesting. My dad loved chainsaws. He loved cutting down trees, and we would go on people's properties and do tree removal, and we get to keep all the wood and get paid money. And so we had a quarter of our backyard was all stacked wood. We had a log splitter.
Oh yeah.
So I grew up doing that stuff, and it was normal to me. What wasn't normal was like looking at neighborhood kids who had no chores or work to do, and they were always just playing. We're like, oh, I can't wait till I can play a little bit. It was work, 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 and then here's your reward. You get to go play with your friends for an hour or two.
Yeah.
Um, so in that regard, my dad was rubbed off really well, and my brothers and I, we were all hard workers, and never lazy uh, people. And 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 so I thank my father for all of that. On the flip side, obviously, was his issues with alcohol, and that definitely, I would say, ruined his character in some regards. It it really clouded the best of what he had to offer. He was a very intelligent man and could be very kind and very, very nice and fun to be around, but alcohol can change people. And he was a nasty drunk.
Mm.
And he took it out on my mother and his three sons. And unfortunately, when I was 13 years old, my parents divorced, which was a good thing for my mother to be out of that environment. But I would say in many regards, that was kind of the beginning of the end for my father. He who ended up dying in his early 60s just from, you know, years of smoking and
Mm.
drinking and poor nutrition and
Yeah.
medication and all those things. So it's sad. It's almost been 20 years since my dad passed away. So it's feels like a lifetime ago. But he's still thought of and he's still talked about with my brothers. There's lots of funny old stories that for us are funny that other people are shocked by, things that he would do. And but it definitely, when you have a tough childhood, and I'm not saying I had any tougher than anybody listening. I, I had I had great moments with my dad and tough moments with my father. Um, but you can learn from the things that your dad did that you don't want to do as a father.
Absolutely.
And so that can be just as powerful as maybe having a dad that was just the nicest, kindest, most loving, non-violent guy in the world. And then maybe you let your kids run all over you and get away with everything. So I don't, you know, um, it's the combination of grace and truth is what's most important, right?
Yep,
You
absolutely.
don't want to be all truth and all discipline, and you don't want to be all grace, all loving and kind, and not have any any barriers, uh, any consequences for things. So,
Yeah.
but I look back on my childhood with more good memories than bad, and certainly having two awesome big brothers and a mother who was just a saint certainly helped round me out,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure it did.
Your story is just scary similar to mine.
Hmm.
In fact, I even have two identical twin brothers.
Get out.
Yeah, yeah. But in our case, they're 3 years younger than me.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're the big brother.
I'm the big brother. And well, not to go too far down that road, but I thank God every day because my two little brothers were just as ornery and tough as could be. And thank God I could whip their ass because if
Oh,
I'd have been under them, they'd have been all over.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah,
But
hopefully they're thanking you for keeping them in line to some
yeah,
degree.
maybe. I don't know. But yeah, but our dads are very similar. And yeah, my dad was tough and strong. He's still with us. He's 90, but he's in a
Wow.
nursing home. But struggled with the alcohol, struggled with and the alcohol brought out the ugly in him,
Yeah.
especially as you said towards my mom.
Yeah.
And I just say that because I made a conscious decision as to what you just said a little earlier. There were so many awesome things. My dad taught us to work. Man, I was splitting wood. We owned a little farm. I mean, we were just doing all that. Me and my brothers could do just about anything. We ran tractors. We did it all. Okay. But I made a conscious decision probably when I was about 15, 16 years old to say that I would never talk to my wife the way my dad would when he was drinking.
Mm.
When he was drinking, some of the stuff he'd say. And I remember being 15, 16 years old and said, Dad, what are you doing? Don't say that to her, And things kind of blew apart. They actually got divorced too. They were married 35 years and they got
Oh,
divorced.
wow.
But yeah, so very similar stories there. But one of those decisions that I took from that, I think sometimes we'll end up basically duplicating the pattern that we saw, right? Well, it's the only thing I ever knew. Or we can say, no, here's the pattern I saw. And I'm not going to be victim to that. I'm going to go ahead and set the boundaries up now so that that doesn't start to own me. And I think that's another point where we have to look at men and go, hey, I hear your dad's story. I hear it, but you got to make a decision. Are you going to be a victim or you're going to victor over it? And
Right.
and that's a conscious decision that we have to drive men on. So I appreciate you saying exactly what was on my mind in that process of
Yeah.
you got to stand up to it.
That's right. No,
Yeah.
that's absolutely right. And his problem doesn't have to be my problem.
Right.
I'm not I'm not an alcoholic, but I do like having a few beers here and there,
Absolutely.
but I don't need it daily. Most times I'm not thinking about it at all, but um when I want one, I can have one.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues, nor does my brother. Um, one of my other brothers, unfortunately, is deceased. He passed away 11 years ago. Um, and but we're able to see it for what it was. It was a disease
Right. Yeah.
that my dad suffered with, and he was unable to break free from it. So in a lot of ways, I feel just sorry for him having to endure that his whole life, and that it ruined what could have been a lifelong marriage with my mother.
Yeah.
But my mom was able to find love again, and my stepdad and her had a wonderful long time together. Uh, she's unfortunately passed as well. So, it's it everything everybody's story is a little different, but it is fascinating that we have so much uh, similar
Yeah.
that we've experienced, and here we are. I think we turned out pretty good.
Just don't ask our kids, right?
Don't ask our kids. Yeah, yeah. Let's not, it's not a kid interview.
Yeah, that's right. You got, hey,
Let's
get
keep
back in the room. Get back in the room.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
How are you doing on time? I don't want to abuse anything here. I want to be
oh, I'm doing just fine. I'm doing
okay.
just fine.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying the
What?
conversation. I've got some things on my mind if you're willing
Please.
to go there.
I certainly am.
Okay, I told you earlier just through an email that this summer my theme is the summer of rehab,
Yeah.
right? So as I sit here, I'm 1 week removed from replacing a knee, and so I've been rehabbing the knee, but a week out, I'm walking, I'm doing pretty much. I'm not doing hardcore exercise, but I'm doing pretty well. So that's all good. But the point being with the summer of rehab is things break, things need to be fixed, things need to be replaced and that's a lot of what we do in our work, right? With guys come in to get in shape with you, or I'm working on a marriage, or I'm working on getting a guy sober or whatever, right? We're trying to fix something. So I have a question for you. When you look at the state of affairs with men today, and obviously I'm going to say men in our country or in our culture, what needs rehabbed? When you look at the state of affairs with men, what do you see that walks into your gym or it comes into your world? What are you seeing that needs a little bit of
Mm,
fix up or repair?
yeah. That's great. Well, I say one thing. Men need accountability. I think all people need it, especially men though. We need other men to hold us accountable for things. That men that we trust. And we don't need a whole lot of them, maybe just a handful or less. Uh, People that we perceive as mentors, as dear friends. It could be a family member or not. Um, Somebody that maybe you've known for a very long time or not. Just somebody that you are able to connect with and then and regularly communicate uh, the difficulties and the challenges that you're facing and how to navigate those things, and maybe how to and get honesty from them, get honest responses from them. And so I would say that's taking interest. That's like a self-awareness that we're not perfect, that we
Yeah,
are in need of repair, that we are a little bit broken, because we all are. Um, and being vulnerable and not too prideful. Pride's a huge killer for men, man. They think they got it all figured out. Their ego gets in the way. Their judgment's clouded. It's I know better. All that stuff. Oh man, once you start, that's a dark road to go down. I never want to feel that way. I want to constantly feel like I'm a student, that I'm learning, that someone else can really teach me something, that I need to be a better listener. And I think geez, I think if more men just did some of that in their life, and it can be simply done. You don't need to even pay for it
Right. Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Join a Saturday morning group, through guys that you've connected with at church or something. I've been part of one, and we do it just like this on Zoom every Saturday morning. I don't make them all. Certainly during baseball season, I actually miss a lot of those meetings, but it's nice to have those because they are accountability moments. It's time for men to communicate with each other in a way that, they don't typically
Yeah.
communicate, where you're airing out your dirty laundry a little bit, and then you get some feedback from people that might hurt a little bit at first, but you know that they have your best interests at hand. And so that's where I'm at with that question.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. A question that, so one of the things I ask in just about every session with my men is, tell me your dad's story. And then once we start to get moving, one of my next questions is right in line with what you're saying. So tell me how coachable you are.
Yeah.
And the knee jerk reaction out of most men is, oh, I'm coachable. That's why I'm here. And the reality of it is, myself included, most of us are not nearly as coachable as we think we are.
Yeah.
We're coachable as long as we're being told what we want to hear, and it jives kind of with us. But as soon as you tell me something like, hey, I need you to start blocking this way instead of this way. No, but coach, I blocked this way all these years, it's like grabbing the golf club with a different grip because
Yeah.
coach just said I need a different grip. Well, the first time you grip differently, it's going to feel really strange and weird.
Yeah.
All right.
No doubt.
And it's through the repetition. So coaching is really, or being coachable is like you said, it's a pride thing. It's a difficult thing. And but I'm right on the same page with you on that. That's good. So
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It hurts, but it gets easier the more you do it. And you can get far with just your spouse,
yeah,
but at the same time, men just need to be surrounded by other men and
yeah,
talk about stuff that's in our that we're all kicking around in our brains, and just as women need some confidants as well, women need other strong women to talk about life things with. We all do.
yeah,
And married couples need moments away from each other to talk about things they need to work on, you know, in their marriage or in their family life or whatever. And um, but there's some counseling and stuff that I would like to do. Not that my marriage is in a bad way or anything, but I want to be proactive on things because there's a
yeah,
lot of things I can still clean up and fix.
yeah,
Um, I can be a better communicator with my wife. Sometimes it's late and I'm tired, right? It's been a long day at work and in coaching baseball, and I'm eating dinner. It's almost 9 o'clock at night. And I'm not in the mood to like talk about life stuff anymore,
absolutely.
And, but you got to be open to that. When they want to talk, you got to be able to participate,
Yeah. Well,
so
or at least figure out how you're going to do it,
exactly.
how you're going to get it covered. Yeah, we deal with
Yep.
that a lot, even in our own home. Like Linda and I do this for a living, and we swear like we do. We're not even close to having this figured out, because
Yep.
it just changes with the days and the situations of the day. So
Yeah. And it's that season of life I'm in right now. I have a 12-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter.
hmm,
We're very active in lots of things, school and sports and activities, and my wife's a registered nurse and I work here full time, and we're all moving in different directions, and it's crazy. It's busy.
yeah,
And then in 10 years from now, it's gonna be real quiet.
yeah,
It's like I heard somebody say the other day, said something about, I read something is what it was. It was shared with me in one of my coaching dad text threads. And this guy shared this thing I thought was going to be humorous. And I'm reading it. I'm crying like a little baby reading this message about what it means to basically be a baseball dad.
Mm.
or a baseball mom, really. It applied to parents in general, and just oh, your car is always dirty with clay and
Yeah.
whatever else,
Yeah.
and this, that, and the other, and I get to the end. I was in my car the other day pulling something out, and there's shells and clay and dirt marks in my back seat, and I thought to myself, I guess I'd rather have it like this than the car is just beautiful and clean on the inside, but there's no kid in going in the back seat anymore, making it messy
Yeah.
because they've grown up. And so I should just appreciate that dirt and that grime a little bit more. Because when we get older, we clean your car, it'll be clean for a whole year, right? No one else is sitting in it.
Yeah, and you'll be begging your kids to come home and put dirty shoes in it, you know?
That's what I'm saying, dude. So, I mean, that's my message right now. To any of those younger dads, if you're in your 30s or 40s, and just soak it up, man. I'm just loving where I'm at right now with where the kids are. It's exhausting as it is. It really fills my heart up, and my kids are still so cute. My son's almost about the same height as my wife right now. 12 going on 13, his feet are bigger now, so
Yeah.
but he's still kind of a little boy, I
Yeah.
still got like one more year before he
Yeah.
he probably shoots
He's
up like a
coming into
big.
his tweener years.
He
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
He really is. So I'm just every day is one more day just to love on my little boy.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. My oldest is 33 and my youngest is 16.
Mm. Wow.
Like I said, our two oldest, they're 33 and 30. Those are our biological boys. And I hate to separate those, but that just helps people understand why there's this big, huge gap. And,
Yeah, yeah.
they were fantastic boys and it was great. They're both Navy SEALs. They're both just
Oh,
kicking
great.
butt and getting done. But now they have their own families. They
That's
live on
right.
the other parts of the world,
Wow.
and so we adopted kids, and now our youngest is 16, and there's days like, man, when's the door going to hit you in the butt to get out of here? But then I'm reminded,
Yeah,
like, I miss my older ones so bad because they aren't around here,
that's right.
and we have grandkids, and so you're right, it's such a thing, like, yeah, you better slow down, put a little bit of perspective on this, because the window's
Mm.
only open for a certain amount of time, and once it closes, you don't get to reopen that one. So
No, you get one shot.
yeah.
You get one shot at being an awesome dad. And the great thing is God gives us a new day
Yep.
uh, to do it better.
Yeah.
It's like, I wasn't a good dad yesterday. It's like, all right, well, be a good dad today.
Yeah, yeah, admit it, apologize for where you went wrong, and
That's
let's
right.
get back on track.
Oh
So
man, and kids have short-term memories, man.
yeah.
Especially with an apologies. I'm not too good to apologize to my kid if I had my short fuse or just said something dumb, and I'll apologize to my kid right away and just let them know that hey, I
Yep.
make mistakes too,
Oh,
man.
it's huge. It's huge, within the marriage and within the parenting.
Yeah,
The apology is, it drops the fist down, drops the defenses down, and then you can actually get to the meat and potatoes of what the relationship's about.
yeah,
Until you learn that as a man, you constantly sit behind the fence, the defense of protecting yourself. And I think, I really want to push hard on that. Like, you just get through the apology, just get through it so that we can get to the real work.
that's
So,
right.
but
Yeah.
so hey, I got a question for you. And I have a feeling this is a bit with you because I get the sense you're a strong individual. You're a convicted man of what's important. Um, I get this too, and this is by no means like a uh, being boasting or anything, but people will come in and say, I wish I kind of had a little bit more together like you do. I'm struggling
Mm,
because I usually see guys in a not very good place, right? And
yeah.
so they'll look at me and I say, listen, you got to remember, I work with millionaires, I work with CEOs, I work with drug addicts. I will tell you, I've yet to meet a man that does not have a thorn that he's carrying. I don't care whether he's the millionaire, whether he's a CEO, whether he's a guy who can't hold a job.
Yeah.
every one of them have a thorn, have junk, every single one. This is a, in 2 Corinthians 12, 7 through 9, there, Paul's talking, and I actually put it in my notes just so I could reference it. It's like, or because of these surpassing great revelations, therefore, in order to keep me from boasting and being conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a
Mm,
messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded to the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I
mhm,
will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. And so I
mm.
love that, because do not be fooled by the facade that a man puts up. I don't care. I don't care if it's Jay Cutler who's winning the next Mr. Olympia, or if it's whoever it is. So my question to you is, what's your thorn? What's something that, man, this just keeps banging me in the head, like what? But it's keeping you humble.
I would say my thorn is most likely my I'm quick to anger over the small things. That short temper, which certainly could be a bit from my dad. It was a learned behavior. Um, and unfortunately it comes out in all places. It comes out at the office sometimes. It comes out with my wife. It comes out with my kids. It comes out maybe coaching baseball. Um, and I can be harsh or even just with body language, facial expression, and just overly critical of somebody in a moment for something that really is so minor, such a minor thing. It's like I handle the big things easier than I do the little things that seem
Mm.
to pile up and stack on each other. And so that's definitely a thorn, because I would love to just drop it. I would love to just not have that knee-jerk response, that itch to just lash and then have that kind of instant regret. So I've gotten really good at being at apologizing to people for those types of things, and it never seems to undo me. It never seems to be such a something I can't ever come back from. It just it just seems like it's a recurring thing that I can't seem to overcome,
Mm.
and it's frustrating, and it's absolutely a thorn. And but I'm very much aware of it. I've prayed on it. I mean, I have my Bible open right here in front of me, and my devotional, and I can't tell you how many times, like, some of the little things I've written down on the side of the page has been directed at that,
Yeah.
for God to help me with this anger and this, just deep-seated frustration that seems to I just bubble over very quickly over real minor things.
Yeah, I appreciate you just sharing that. And I ask that not to get not to put you on the spot, but to just remind all of us guys that the faster we just bring that to the surface
Yeah.
and stop hiding behind it, the thorn's not going away, right? Paul's thorn didn't go away,
No, correct.
but it makes us get quicker and quicker at doing what you said, like, hey, I need to say sorry, I need to drop to my knees, I need to basically own what happened there, and try to make it
Mm,
right again. So
yes.
that's
Yeah.
the way through on so many of those thorns.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it, because you know we're we're broken. We're never going to be perfect. It can be a great goal for us.
Yeah,
It can
yeah,
be a great goal to try and be a little bit more like Jesus, for sure. And but that's why we must surround ourselves with people that we trust, that'll be honest with us, to be great communicators with our spouse, and to devote our time and our our efforts and our energy to the people that we care most about, and let them know what you're thinking, and that you aren't perfect, and
yeah,
you're going to get it wrong more often than you get it right.
yeah, yeah,
Somebody, it's Humility is probably one of the best qualities any of us can have.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
really is.
Yeah.
I so admire people who I feel like, man, that person really does seem on the surface to have it all figured out, but like a Tony Dungy type, they don't the air about them is still so much humility, or like a Tim Tebow, it's
Yeah.
just that guy'd sit down next to you, put his arm around you and cry with you just like anybody else because it's just his heart.
Yeah.
And he doesn't portray somebody that has it all figured out. He just is a hard worker and is filled with passion. And I like to think that's how I am.
Yeah.
I'm a hard worker. I'm somebody who's passionate, who's highly enthusiastic. Ask any of the dads I coach baseball with or the kids, and I'm the loudest guy on the field almost every game, to a fault.
Yeah.
Um,
To the
but
embarrassment of your kid and your wife, right?
yeah, well, what's great is I don't do it in a way that I get more quiet when it comes to my own son.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I communicate verbally more with him, one on one,
Yeah.
and just try to let him shine in the games. Yeah, so most of it's all just encouragement. It's never, unless it's something real stupid, but
Yeah.
I'll call the boys out on the dumb ones
Yeah.
sometimes. But no, humility, man. That as I was saying before, ego and pride get in the way. It's a not a good place to be.
Yeah.
The the more you are humble, the less you'll get humbled
Yep.
in life. And it's just such an attractive thing when I see it in other people, that humility. Just a blessing. It's really a blessing to be around people like that.
Yeah.
Um, a, a gentleman I was looking at some pictures just recently. A gentleman I podcasted with who is he was one of the uh, was he a president of the Ritz-Carlton? His name is Horst Schulze. He's written a book here. His book's right here on my thing. Yeah, he was the co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company. And this guy has such an awesome story, but he's one of the nicest guy. I had breakfast with him for like a couple of hours with a small group. And this guy, so humble. And it
Hmm.
was just, you could feel it coming right out of his skin. He just wanted to just help people.
Yeah.
And he was just such a blessing to be in the room with him. I want to be like that. That's who I
Yeah.
want to be. I want people to feel like they were blessed and that my light was able to shine a little bit when they were with me.
Yeah.
And so
That's
that's
good stuff. Good. Well, I thank you, man. I could go on for forever just picking into other different areas, but
I know.
I'll start to wind some things down.
Yeah.
What do you got coming up on the horizon? What do you got?
Mm.
Anything exciting or fun or interesting that you'd like to just put up there and put a flag on it so people could hear?
Yeah.
What do you got coming up?
Sure. Well, there's a lot, but I'll stick to one. One usually is better. We just recently, about 10 days ago, a co-host and I, Jared Haley, and I went up to Knoxville, Tennessee for a first ever event called Rise Up Con, put on by Kevin Sorbo. And it's like a
Awesome.
Comic-Con for Christian faith leaders. He says we're faith meets fandom.
Yeah.
And so people were able to come and attend and meet some of their favorite Christian actors and authors and producers and storytellers. It was a really fun scene, and so we were vendors. We went in and set
Oh,
our whole podcast up and sat down with visitors. We sat down with other vendors and walked around and interviewed and talked with people. It was such an awesome experience. Really, really enjoyed it. Kind of putting the podcast out out in that environment was so much fun. And we recorded a lot with people. And so for the next few months, starting, I'm not sure when this episode will air, but starting in late June through the summer, every week when we release an episode on Strong by Design, it's going to be different conversations from that event.
oh, that's
And
great. Yeah.
yeah, so it's just a lot of fun, different types of conversations. People are fascinating.
Yeah.
And so I urge anybody listening, check out the Strong by Design podcast and see what we're doing over there. Something very similar to what Strong Dads is doing.
Yeah. Okay. So how else can guys get a hold of your work, or give us like your web page and all of that, just so that they can get connected?
Sure. Well, you can certainly, for anything fitness related, go to criticalbench.com. That's our hub for anything fitness, health related, or strongbydesignpodcast.com for anything on the podcast side. And I'm heavily involved with both still, as again, behind kind of all the content here. And you'll be able to find me through those two platforms. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you could go to coach_Chris Wilson on Instagram. And I put up a lot of stuff podcast related, family, baseball, working out. Pretty much everything I talked about today
Yeah. Yeah.
that's who I am, and it's what I love putting out there.
All right. All right. Well, Chris, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for the mission and ministry that you're on, in all those different areas that you talked about. It's good to get to just know you a little bit, and I'll certainly be following. I might even follow up with you with some questions afterwards, just because I want to pick your brain on some things. So that would
Certainly.
be, if that would be all right. I also want to thank all of my followers and listeners out there that follow Rock Solid Families as well as Strong Dads. I want to thank you guys. Please do me a favor, subscribe to our channels that we have. We appreciate that. And hey, if you like a show, great. If you think somebody else would like a show that we're talking on a certain topic, share it. Please share that out to help them out. I want to thank our sponsors, Quality Auto Mart, Casey's Outdoor Solutions, and 4 Speed on 50 Diner. Thanks to those guys who believe in our messaging and get behind what we do. So thanks to all of those. And with that being said, go out there and be a strong dad. Strong Dads wants to thank Quality Auto Mart and Service for being a proud sponsor of the Strong Dads podcast. Started in 1985 and going strong for all these years. Recently, Quality Auto Mart has transitioned from owners of Mark and Nancy Repke to longtime employee Fred and Lorene Venus. For all your automotive needs and golf cart needs, check out Quality Auto Mart, located across from Indian Lakes on Highway 46 outside of Batesville, Indiana. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.